Hello, Joshua George. I think we should be good now. I mean, just my luck. OBS was deciding to crash, and then all of a sudden, internet decides to crash. So, just my luck, guys. It's a shitty day to stream. Nice and smooth now. Yup, it's at 30 FPS, and the internet has been reset. So I have one of the shittiest internets on Earth. I have literally third world internet, even though I live in the United States. There are areas of America where they still have very, very shitty ass internet, and I live in one of those areas. So here we are, shitty ass internet. And Apple computers, I don't know about you guys, but Apple computers just don't feel the same way that they used to. They used to feel very secure and guaranteed, and now it doesn't feel very secure at all. Now it feels like I'm getting some kind of low-level retail garbage. I don't know what happened there. Whatever happened to Apple, guys? Whatever happened to freaking Apple? I think I'm just going to go on a rant on Apple. Seriously, what happened to Apple? I remember back in the day, back when I got my first Apple. How long ago was that? I think I got my first Apple computer in 2011 or 2012 was when I got my first Apple computer. It was a MacBook, I remember. And it was really good. It worked for years. Many years, that damn thing worked. Well, it was supposed to work for many years, but then eventually I actually spilled an entire glass of iced tea, accidentally, of course. And the iced tea, I had a whole stack of books on my desk, and then I had a glass of iced tea, and then I had my computer. And the books, like a freaking Jenga video game, the books decided to just fall down, and the entire glass of iced tea spilled all over my computer. So I got a new one. That was back in 2015. I got a new model in 2015. It was the 2015 model. And that laptop lasted me all the way up until 2022 is when I got a new laptop. That's all it lasted me. It lasted a while. And my desktop Apple computer, yeah, I think we're good now. I think the connection is good. My desktop Apple computer lasted for about 7 years. So I got my desktop computer in 2015, and then it went on to 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022. So 7 years my Apple desktop computer lasted me. And what's weird is that the issues that I began to see in my 2015 model Apple desktop, the issues that I began to see at the tail end of my desktop's life, I'm already starting to see a little bit of in the brand new 2022 Apple desktop that I got. I'm not exaggerating, guys. It's just absolutely annoying. It's just absolutely freaking annoying. And they don't make the same quality. They really don't. They don't make the same quality. The 2015 model that I got, both for my desktop and my laptop, were very good. I mean, they both computers lasted roughly the same amount of time. And everyone keeps telling me to get a Windows. Everyone keeps telling me to get just basically a PC. And I think the next time I'm just going to get a PC. The new MacBooks are way better than ever before. Are you sure? Because the stuff I'm getting now is just really... I'm already seeing issues in the computers, and these issues I started seeing at the end of my what's wrong with my freaking brain today, guys? The computers that I got, the most recent Apple computers, I'm already seeing issues in those computers. And these issues I was seeing at the tail end of the lives of the last Apple computers that I got. So I don't think they're better. 2018 lasted 18 years. Yeah, I believe that. You got to maintain them, though. That's the thing. Every non-Mac user is salivating over the specs of the M1. Okay. The one good thing that I really like about the M1 desktop is that you can now play games. Apple, I think eventually Apple is going to be right up there with PC when it comes to gaming. I don't see why they wouldn't. They're adapting to the world of gaming because it is a very big market, and a lot of people who get PCs get them to play games. That's one of the biggest reasons, if not the biggest reason, why people get a PC, is to game. If you need a computer to write a book, to write articles, or just to surf the internet, a Mac is perfectly fine. Perfectly fine. It really is perfectly fine. If you want to edit videos, I mean, iMovie, I've used nothing but iMovie when it comes to editing videos, and it's worked just fine for me. I've been using iMovie since I was 20, 21. No, not even that. How long have I been using? Actually, no, I got my first MacBook when I was 19. So yeah, I've been using 18 since I was 18 or 19 years old. I was using iMovie. And I've used nothing but iMovie when it comes to video editing. Is there better software than iMovie? Yes, there is. But I'm not really using editing software to make anything too technical. I like making very simple videos. The types of videos that I love to make are the types of videos where I just sit in front of my computer and just talk. That's what I love to do. I think you probably have 8 GB of RAM. Believe it or not, no, I don't. I know it seems that way, but I don't. The desktop that I'm using now is a 1 terabyte desktop, and it's connected to an external hard drive which has 4 terabytes on it. So altogether, it's 5 terabytes. So it can actually hold a lot of material. The thing that pisses me off is, you see, Apple used to sell these 2 terabyte desktops. I don't know if they still sell them. I don't think they sell them anymore. When I got my first Apple desktop, computer, it was a 2 terabyte computer. And that damn thing lasted me for a long time. Oh, that's not RAM? Oh, okay, hold on. See, that's how technically intelligent I am. What do you think about Kosovo? Oh, that's a whole other issue. We'll get into that. Hold on. About this Mac. Here we go. What's the RAM on this thing? Okay, so it's a 16 gigabyte memory. Memory is 16 gigabytes. And my storage is 1 terabyte. Shows up in memory. Okay, yeah, it's 16 gigabytes. So it's double what you estimated. What do you think about Kosovo? What do I think about Kosovo? You know, it's amazing. I read a couple of books on Kosovo, and my brain just didn't hold a lot of the information that I read. But there's certain things that I do remember about Kosovo. One thing, people say it's a complicated geopolitical issue. I don't think it's very complicated. You have the Christian Serbs, and then you have the Muslim Albanians. The Christian Serbs and the Muslim Albanians have been in conflict with each other going all the way back to the 1800s. You can probably go back further than that. But I spent hours reading up on this, and the material that I read would always just go back to the 1800s. The Ottomans struggled with the Albanians. The Albanians fought against the Ottomans for independence. So did the Serbs. The Austro-Hungarians, they saw the Albanians as a proxy against the Serbs. Austro-Hungarians always saw the Serbs as a threat, from what I understand, because they understood that if you give the Serbs independence, that would mean a Russian ally in the Balkans. And so the Austro-Hungarians, I mean, Austria is right next to the Balkans. It borders with Hungary, and it's right near the Czech Republic, Czechoslovakia. So Austria is very close to the Balkans. I mean, Austria is a neighbor of the Balkans. And the Austrians never wanted a Russian ally in the Balkans because they saw that as a threat. So the Austrians actually preferred to have the Ottomans controlling the Balkans than the Russians. So the Austro-Hungarians, they always supported an Albanian militancy against the Serbs, and they armed the Albanians going all the way back to the late 1800s or so. I mean, the Austro-Hungarians were there. The Austro-Hungarians were there arming the Albanians. During World War I, there was this horrific phenomena of Austro-Hungarian soldiers just butchering the Serbs in the most... I mean, I read it last year. I read a whole thing about it. I published an article on the subject. What was going on during World War I? Everyone talks about World War II and the atrocities of World War II. And I'm not saying that because I think we should stop talking about the atrocities of World War II. No. We need to... You know what my opinion is? I don't think we even talk enough about what really happened in World War II. And I'll get into that in a moment. I don't think we talk enough about what happened in World War II. There's all sorts of details that people don't talk about when it comes to World War II. But let's go back. Let's rewind a little bit. To World War I. World War I. The Bulgarians said, oh yeah, we hate the Serbs. The Austrians came over, yeah, we hate the Serbs. Ottomans said we hate the Serbs. Bulgarians said, yeah, we hate the Serbs too. Bulgarians committed atrocities on the Serbs. And then you had the Austro-Hungarian soldiers. Now, from what I understand, a lot of the soldiers in the Austro-Hungarian military in Serbia were actually Croatians. Yeah, a lot of them were Croatians. And the Croats were, I mean, they say they were Austro-Hungarian troops, but a lot of these guys weren't Austrian. They were Croatians. Nonetheless, the Croatian soldiers who were fighting the Serbs for the Austro-Hungarian Empire, they were butchers. I mean, they were butchers. I couldn't believe what I was reading. Let me just read to you guys some examples here. Denise Stacy is upset with me. She says, come on, Theo. I know, my internet. Sorry about that, guys. Let me show you guys what I'm talking about here. Austro-Hungarians. I wrote a whole essay on this. Oh my gosh. What the hell is this? I want to read to you guys some examples of what I'm talking about. Kosovo. Here we go. I wrote about this. The roots of Albanian nationalism. And I traced it all the way back to the 1850s origins with the League of Prizren. These were basically Albanians who wanted to be independent of Ottoman control, but they also hated the Serbs. They hated the Serbs. They also hated the... They didn't like the Ottomans very much. But eventually the Albanians became allies with the Ottomans. We see that to this day, actually. We see the Albanians playing as, or being used as, I should say, just proxies for the Turks. Oh, here it is. Oh, man. An Albanian ally. Man, this article was freaking huge. I spent hours on it. Second Balkan War. Oh, here it is. Check this out. So here it is. One officer followed the attackers, with the soldiers entered their village. So it says, in the diary of a French soldier who was with the Serbs during the horrific march through the wilderness. So Albanian bandits ambushed a whole bunch of Serbs. So during World War I, the Serbs were ethnically cleansed from their own lands by the Austro-Hungarian and German soldiers. Bulgaria controlled the eastern and southern parts of Serbia, 2/3 of Kosovo, and a part of Macedonia. Austro-Hungarians and Germans began to ethnically cleanse the Serbs out of Kosovo, or out of Serbia. And it says here that Albanian bandits, seeing the tired, freezing, and starving Serbs, ambushed them and picked them off. So as the Serbs were being pushed out, Albanian bandits were attacking the Serbs who were being pushed out. Children and women were mercilessly abducted and taken away by Albanian gangs. One officer followed the attackers with his soldiers, entered their village, and freed a large number of captured children and women. So in the diary of a French soldier, it says, at dawn, the regiment moved on, but after 2 hours we stopped. We did not move further that day. The fog was so thick that one could not see more than 2 paces. And it started to rain. We had to wait for the other units from our division. In the evening, heavy shooting started behind us, most likely in the same place where we spent the night, and it lasted until deep into the night. The Albanians stole all the horses from our divisional quarters and all the provisions they were carrying, all the horned cattle, all the Komorji cattle, and the cattle of the 2 field hospitals. The commander of the divisional chamber, Major Nenadovic, fought alone with a carbine in his hand and managed to save half of the people, while the other half was killed and wounded. There were many Albanians. They shot from the mountains and from cover, so it was impossible to fight them, etc., etc. Let's see here. A Serbian writer by the name of Branislav Nusic, he said, I had no idea that out of 40,000 Serbian children, 36,000 would find their graves in snowy abysses and stinking ponds in a month, and that Serbia would simply throw an entire generation of its youth to the beasts for slaughter like unnecessary meat. So you had 40,000 children being pushed out into the snowy, freezing wilderness, and 36,000 died. So most didn't make it. I mean, it's a real nightmare. It's a serious nightmare. So during World War I, Serbia was divided between the Germans, the Austro-Hungarians, and the Bulgarians. So there was the Bulgarian occupational zone, and the Bulgarians committed atrocities on the Serbs. And the Bulgarians began to do a process of Bulgarization. So Bulgarization, which permeated all segments of the society. And Serbian teachers were murdered by the Bulgarians so that they could be replaced with Bulgarian teachers. And the Bulgarians banned the Serbian language, and they tried to force people to learn Bulgarian. They want everyone to speak Bulgarian, and they didn't want anyone to speak Serbian. So let's fast forward to the Austro-Hungarians and what they did. So there was a guy, his name was Rudolf Archibald Rice. Rice put together many accounts of eyewitnesses to the atrocities. In one eyewitness account of an Austro-Hungarian soldier documented by Rice, it says, the men were given the order to bayonet all living creatures, women, men, and children without distinction. Okay, so we talk about the Nazis and what they did. The Austrians were doing the same thing in World War I to the Serbs. The men were given the order to bayonet all living creatures, women, men, and children without distinction. A private of the 79th Regiment told him that near Drenovac, the Austrian soldiers made a ring of 26 persons round a house and then set fire to the house, thus burning the 26 victims. In another account, it reads of how Austrian troops abused Serbian draftees and after using them ordered the extermination of the Serbs. Quote, Austrian hospital sergeant in the 28th Infantry Landwehr Regiment deposes that before crossing the frontier, the officers abused the Serbs drafted in the Austro-Hungarian army from Bosnia and Krajina in every possible way, calling them barefoot, gypsies, assassins, brigands, etc. All soldiers of Serb nationality were forbidden on pain of death to own to their own race. It was considered an act of treason. So to say that I am Serbian was illegal. The officers gave out that they would finish with the Serbs in a week. Witnesses crossed the Drina River, which divides Bosnia and Serbia, and other troops during the night from the 12th to the 13th of August, 1914. And at about 2 o'clock in the morning, they passed near Mali Zvornik town. From Zvornik, they went as far as Ljubovia. The officers told them to shoot all that was Serbian. In another account, it describes the murder. And make sure this is too loud. I'll make sure this is not too loud. In another account, it describes the murder of the elderly and children. Old men, and children were captured and driven before the troops with bayonet thrusts. These people were questioned as to the position of the Serbs. If their answers failed to satisfy the Austrian officers, they were shot immediately. In most cases, when the troops entered a village, the greater number of the hostages, or even all of them, were killed. These unfortunate people were almost always old men or children. In one account, it speaks of Croatian soldiers fighting for the Austrians committing inhumanities. In Velika Reka village, there was an inn. The innkeeper was bayoneted by Corporal Begovic. The innkeeper's wife, who had witnessed the scene, wrenched the rifle from the Croat and killed him. Other Austrians threw themselves upon her and ripped her body open from end to the end with a bayonet. Her child was killed with the same weapon. The house was completely sacked. So these Croatian soldiers working for the Austrians go into a hotel, an inn. They murder the owner of the innkeeper. His wife, it's like something out of a movie. But the wife manages to pull the rifle from the soldier's hand, and she killed the soldier. And the Austrian soldiers who were present then ripped her open. The urge to slaughter everything was given a sense of empowerment and encouragement. The Hungarians and the Croats were the worst, but the men were incited by their officers to commit atrocities. Wherever the regiment passed through, the officers urged them to kill everything: cows, pigs, chickens. In fact, everything, whether it was required for the subsistence of the army or not. The men got dead drunk with schnapps in the Serbian wine cellars. They allowed the liquor to run out of the barrel so that often the cellars were inundated with alcohol. A Croat soldier relished in the fact that he murdered a woman, some elderly people, and a child. An Austrian soldier, one Doshan, boasted of having killed a woman, 2 old men, and a child, and invited his comrades to go with him to have a look at his victims. So these were real sickos. I mean, real sickos. And people talk about, I don't know, they say, back in the day, things were better. Back in the day, it was better. We didn't have iPhones. Well, back in the day, you had psychopaths who were very proud about murdering elderly people and children. And they didn't have iPhones, and they didn't have anything like that. They didn't have all the modern technology that we have now, but they were still sick bastards. They were all sick bastards. There's no such thing as the good old days, guys. It's a myth. It's just a giant myth. And it says here, a corporal of the 28th Landwehr Regiment recounted that in the Serbian town of Shabac, the Austrians killed over 60 civilians beside the church. They had previously been confined in the latter. They were butchered with the bayonet in order to save ammunition. There were several old men and children among the victims. A Serbian woman named Draga Petronjovic recounted that within the church, behind the altar, the Austrian officers violated young Serbian girls. So they were raping girls behind the altar of the church. That's right. That's how sick these people were. A 75-year-old Serbian man named Mihajlo Jankovic was killed with rifle shots. The male organ was cut off and placed in his mouth. Yup. That's right, everybody. You know what's so weird? Is you have these trad Catholics today that will say things such as, we need to bring back the... Oh, God, this is what I hate about these trads. I don't like these people. I'll be honest with you guys. I don't like them. I'm not a big, I don't have a sense of optimism when I see trad Catholics. Oh, we gotta ask your average trad Catholic what they think about the Austro-Hungarian Empire. Oh, it was the last. It was the what do they say? They say things like it was the last remnant of Catholic Christendom. And then you read stories like this where the Austrian soldiers are raping women behind the church altar. What does this have to do with Christianity? What does this have to do with Christianity? And that's, you know what? That's the thing I want to talk to you guys about today. I want to talk to you guys about this insanity of the trad Catholic movement, where they will point to governments or different groups and say, well, these guys were for Christendom, guys. You know, they were for Christendom and it was amazing. And then you actually read about these groups or these governments that they're talking about, and they were atrocious. A lot of them were atrocious. One of the examples is the Austro-Hungarian Empire. It was an atrocious empire. What they did in World War I, they deserve to be put down. Yeah, the world is a better place without that empire. They lost during World War I. Good riddance. Good riddance, really. Good riddance. And Goose Hunter here brings up the Ukrainian OUM. That's right. Very similar. Very, very the same thing, really. I don't really see a difference between Ukrainian nationalists and Croatian nationalists. I think they're very, very, very similar. The Croatians are very, very pro-Ukraine. I can see why. Because they have similar histories. OUN and Ustasha. Ustasha and OUN were the same. They were butchers. They were murderous. They were atrocious. They butchered so many people. They butchered people like they were cattle. And we have to sit here and act as if that they were great people. We have to sit here and act as if we have to act as if they were amazing. It's garbage. It's complete garbage. It's complete garbage, guys. You have people today who say, "Oh, I can almost guarantee you in the future. I can almost guarantee you in the future, we're going to be hearing about Croatian nationalism." You know, Ukrainian nationalism was rarely ever a big topic before Russia did its special operation in 2022. I mean, there were people talking about it. Vice did a whole thing. I remember BBC, I think, talked about it. There were a number of news and media outlets that were talking about the phenomena of Ukrainian nationalism. But they were at least talking about Ukrainian nationalism with its demonic reality, with its demonic character. They were at least saying that, yes, they're Nazis, yes, they have a lot of neo-Nazis in their ranks, etc., etc. No one talks about Croatia right now. Croatia is not a big subject at all in the news. There's no headlines about Croatia. No one really cares about Croatia right now. But given the history between Croatia and Serbia, I would not be surprised to see one day Serbia and Croatia in the same headlines in the news one day. I wouldn't be surprised. And I wouldn't be surprised to see in the future Croatia become a headline topic. Because something's going to happen between the Serbs and the Croats. Here's a question that I have. What would happen if a war between the Albanians and the Serbs break out again? Right? What would happen if a war between the Serbs and the Croatians, between the Serbs and the Albanians in Kosovo breaks out again? What would happen? You know, what would happen? That's the question that I have. And how would Croatia react? How would Croatia react? I wouldn't be surprised to see a conflict break out between the Serbs and the Croats. And if a conflict does break out again between the Serbs and the Croats, then NATO will back the Croatians, just like they did back in the 90s. You had Operation Storm. That's when NATO backed Croatia. And before that war broke out, the Croatians thought it was funny to put bombs underneath people's cars. Yeah, that's what they were doing to Serbs in Krajina. There was a little region of Croatia. There was a region of Croatia that was dominated by Serbs. What do you guys call it? Krajina, I think you guys call it. The Croatians didn't want the Serbs to be living there. They wanted to push the Serbs out. And Croatians would just put bombs underneath people's homes. Yeah, random Serbian people's, not homes, cars. They would put bombs underneath people's cars and they would kill people. And they thought that was funny. And initially, the Serbs were winning, from what I understand. I read most, if not all, of the Wikipedia article on Operation Storm. And the Serbs were winning. Srpska Krajina, yep. The Serbs were winning. And the NATO alliance intervened and then began to arm and train the Croatians, and then the Croatians defeated the Serbs. And they were pushing the Serbs out, and there was a huge crowd of Serbs that were leaving their homes. They were pushed out of their homes. And the Croatian military was attacking these Serbian refugees, killing their Serbian refugees. It was horrific. Absolutely horrific. And I understand that Croatians and Serbs are quite friendly with each other right now, right? Not all the time, but from what I have heard, Croatians and Serbs have been friendly with each other, from what I understand. But I don't think it's gonna last forever. Because the Croatians and the Serbs, they never stop talking about each other. They're always talking about each other. 250,000, yeah. Yeah, horrific. And so I wouldn't be surprised to see one day some kind of a conflict break out. But the Serbs have a very good military, so it wouldn't be an easy war. And so do the Croatians, don't get me wrong. But I can guarantee you, if a war ever broke out between Croatia and Serbia again, the media would be all over it, saying, look at these terrible Serbs. And then they would be telling us about the wonders of Croatian culture and history. And then if somebody ever brought up the Ustasha, then they would be saying, well, the Ustasha collaborated with the Germans because the Ustasha was desperate and they were afraid of communism, and so they joined the Germans. They say the same shit about the Ukrainians. They say the same shit about the Ukrainians. They say, look, Ukrainian nationalism actually is great. And who was that woman? What was her name? Newman? What was her name? Newman. That Newman woman, what's her name? Victoria Nuland, not Newman. Victoria Nuland. She basically said, yeah, we need more Ukrainian nationalism. And she wrote an article saying that Ukrainians need to be screaming Slava Ukraina. She actually wrote this. They need to be screaming Slava Ukraina. There needs to be more Slava Ukraina. It's just crazy. Absolutely crazy. That's why I truly believe that all this talk about Nazism is bullshit. I truly believe that. I'm looking up something real quick, guys. I need to fact check myself here. Did I say that it was Newland? It was somebody over there in the Capitol Hill think tank world. Oh man, Slavu Kraina. Was it Victoria Nuland? Hold on, I gotta check this out. Hold on. Book on what was the name of that? Holodomor. She wrote a book about the Holodomor. Hold on. Believe it or not, I own a book on the Holodomor because I told myself that I would read about it. Red Famine. My mistake, actually. It wasn't Victoria Nuland who said this. It was Anne Applebaum. Anne Applebaum is a Jewish name. Applebaum is 100% Jewish name. Guys, oh my God. I haven't even drank an alcohol yet, and I'm already getting drunk off facts. I'm already getting drunk off of truth. Slava Ukraina! Alright, here we go, guys. She wrote a whole article about why we need Ukrainian nationalism. Hold on. Ukrainian